Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kent Hehr. I'm the Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defense. And on behalf of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, I'd like to welcome you all to this august ceremony where we will present the Minister of Veterans Affairs Commendation Award. To give you some history, this award was stood up in 2001 by our Governor General, because he recognized that there were a great many people going about their everyday lives and yet giving back significantly to those who have so bravely served this nation. I can also say that the design on the award that you're going to receive tonight was actually approved by Her Majesty the Queen at the time when we stood up the award. So it has significance, both our remembrance back of our ties with Britain and the Commonwealth. So it's got a real special significance. And for me to be here with 11 great people from the Ottawa and Kingston region who have rolled up their sleeves and done so much, whether it's served a hot meal to a veteran, volunteered for their Legion or local Annabets, gone about getting out information to them about benefits due and only owing to veterans and their families. I know you guys have all done this in this room. And one of the true joys of me being the Minister of Veterans Affairs, I was named Minister on November 4th, is that I get to share my life with Canadians from coast to coast to coast, but more importantly, to meet members of our Canadian Armed Forces and veterans who have served in this great nation over that time. I have learned deeply of their personal sacrifice, the challenge they've faced, the commitment they've given to keeping our country safe and secure. They have done the heavy lifting for this country, not asked the questions, gone and went and served, wherever that was, whether that was to those who came before us, from Vimy Ridge through Juno Beach, to those in the Korean conflict, to our NATO operations, to our peacekeeping missions, to the Gulf War, to our efforts in Afghanistan, to our efforts in the Middle East today. The men and women who serve do so proudly, bravely, and boldly, and it's our job to commemorate their achievements as well as celebrate their successes. And people in this room know this better than anyone because you've kept them in your hearts, your minds, and your deeds each and every day that you have participated. So it was a thrill to get named to this position because I know that as Minister of Veterans Affairs, we can do a lot. And we are doing a lot to try and help people through the transition from when they're serving to civilian life and some of the trials and tribulations that go along with that, as doubly so for a person who has been ill and injured and had their careers cut short. And we're working hard to even do better. But what I do know is that my department, in fact the government, can't do it alone. And it's partners like you, the Legion, Annabets, rank and file citizens who go about their daily lives in a quiet, humble fashion to help build community, to help recognize sacrifice, and to build the nation in a better way. So a great thrill for me to be here, to share in your success, and to allow me on behalf of my department and the Prime Minister to recognize your contributions. And I also want to say what I've learned being Minister of Veterans Affairs, whether a man or woman serves, their entire family serves with them. Isn't that right? Hey, I see a smile there. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Yes, it's true. So the family deserves much credit. And the family and who supported the people getting these awards here, I commend you too. Because I know if your family say anything like mine, when your partner volunteers for something, you're dragged along to do it with. Isn't that how it works? Whether you want to or not, shoulder to shoulder, you're helping out. So we recognize your help for veterans as well. Or even you've had to miss dinner, or he was home late for dinner, or she was home late for dinner. all of that stuff, because he is building community, and I thank you for supporting your partners in this mission. In any event, we'll get on with the show, but really a great thrill for me to be here. Thank you for all of your hard work. It has really meant a lot and duly appreciated. Take care.
Thank you, Minister. We will now proceed with the presentations. The format we will use today is as follows. I will announce the names of each recipient, one at a time, and read a brief citation outlining their accomplishments. I would ask that the recipients remain seated throughout this presentation. After I read each citation, the recipient will be escorted by a staff member to join the minister in front of the commendation banners for the presentation of the commendation. Official photos will be taken during the presentation, and recipients will then be escorted back to their tables. We will hold your framed certificate for you until after your meal. After the final presentation, a group photo with the minister will be taken, as well as photos with recipients and their families in front of the banners. Citations on each recipient appear in your copy of the commendation program that are on the tables for you to keep afterwards. A reminder that we are recording the ceremony today for posting on the Veterans Affairs Canada Facebook page. Our first recipient is Ms. Gail Angel from Ottawa. Mrs. Angel is the granddaughter of a Hong Kong veteran and a longtime member of the Hong Kong Veteran Commemorative Association. In 2011, Mrs. Angel took on the role as project leader for the complete translation of the association's educational program. This included the editing, updating, and complete translation of the online Teacher Zone. In 2012, Mrs. Angel accepted the role of National Education Coordinator and placed a priority on updating the content and delivery of the complete educational component. Mrs. Angel also began researching for new material by speaking with surviving veterans and the families of veterans, encouraging them to share their stories for publishing on the website. She also met with teachers to improve the present material for different age levels. On an annual basis, Mrs. Angel coordinates a national writing contest for middle school and high school students in which students choose a Hong Kong veteran and write an essay about them. Mrs. Angel sends invitations to schools all across Canada, solicits a team of judges, and arranges the delivery of prizes and public recognition for the winners. In 2013, Mrs. Angel was elected to the association's board of directors and continues to explore further avenues to educate the public on the contributions of Canada's Hong Kong veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Gail Angel.
Thank you so much for what you do each and every day. Okay, now we got to turn around and you got to put that in front of you.
Is everybody else taking
Yeah,
notes?
you got to hold. Yep. Right here. Perfect.
Want me closer?
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your service. Take it off if it looks better for the pictures. So there you go. There we go. Oh, do we want the whole? No, we're doing that after. Can you be, yeah, because I had the microphone in the way. Exactly.
Beautiful. Thank you.
That's exactly how we do it.
Congratulations. Our next recipient is Mr. Michael Blow from Orleans. Mr. Blow retired from the Canadian Armed Forces in 2008 after 35 years of service. Being an avid motorcyclist, Mr. Blow decided to start his own national motorcycle riding club, whose main focus was to support serving and retired force members. In March 2010, he and two others founded the Canadian Veterans Freedom Riders with the creation of the Ottawa chapter. Since its beginnings, the club has grown to 14 units, including one unit in Germany containing Canadian members posted in Germany. Under Mr. Blow's guidance, the Canadian Veterans Freedom Riders has turned into a lifeline for many veterans across Canada. Mr. Blow's leadership as national president has resulted in securing a service dog for an individual in need and the raising of thousands of dollars, which have been donated to organizations supporting veterans as well as other charitable organizations. Since 2011, Mr. Blow has also served as the Canadian chair of the coordinator of the Allied Memorial Remembrance Ride, an international event for the remembrance of fallen Allied soldiers. In addition, in 2014, Mr. Blow lobbied the mayor of Owen Sound to have a park named after Corporal Robert Thomas James Mitchell, a soldier killed in Afghanistan. Mr. Blow rode 8 hours to attend the dedication of the park and meet with his fallen comrades' family members. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Blow. Congratulations. From Kingston, Ontario, Mrs. Jean Compeau, who will receive the commendation on behalf of her late husband, Mr. Raymond Ross Compeau. Mr. Compeau was a retired member of the Canadian Armed Forces. He had been active with the Royal Canadian Legion for many years, both as a member of the Sick and Visiting Committee and as service officer for the past 6 years. Through these roles, he visited local nursing homes and personal residences of local veterans and their spouses to provide comfort and company, and attended to their needs in the area of care and transportation. As service officer, Mr. Compeau was responsible for the general welfare of veterans residing in nursing homes in the area. As well as providing veterans with personal support, he also helped initiate claims for disability pensions and financial assistance from Veterans Affairs Canada, and solicited financial support from local and provincial levels of the Legion's Poppy Fund to ensure the needs of veterans were met. For many veterans, Mr. Compeau's company was the only personal contact they received outside of facility staff. Through his tireless work, Mr. Compeau was instrumental in ensuring that each of the nursing homes he was responsible for had been briefed and that the veterans, their spouses, and their families were receiving the assistance, benefits, and guidance they deserved. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Compeau.
I think just it's worthy to add that Mrs. Compeau has picked up right where her husband left off. Not even missing a beat after his passing. She kept on carrying his torch and went out and is doing exactly the same good work that he did for the last number of years. A real example of partnership and family working for veterans in their communities. It's a great honor, man.
Congratulations. Also from Kingston, our next recipient is Mr. James Gratto. Mr. Gratto is a retired member of the Canadian Armed Forces. For the past 30 years, Mr. Gratto has volunteered his time to provide support to the Military Communications and Electronics Museum in Kingston, and has been a great support to veterans and widows in the Kingston area. Mr. Gratto is a very talented carver and has donated many of his works to the museum's fundraising dinners. He has also donated his carvings and provided support to the Signalers Club of Canada and to Canadian Airborne Association, as well as other local charities in support of veterans. Mr. Gratto's first large undertaking in support of veterans involved assisting an elderly veteran in his building who was battling cancer caused by exposure to Agent Orange. His work with this veteran eventually led to settlements for many veterans who were directly exposed to the chemicals. Over the past 26 years, Mr. Gratto has provided valuable guidance and support to numerous veterans and family members, contributing countless hours to assist them in their navigation of the pension and benefits system. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gratto.
mind just running up and just give it to Alicia and take a closer picture here with your camera? Oh, here we go.
Our next recipient is Mr. Thurston Kaulbach from Ottawa. Mr. Kaulbach is a retired member of the Canadian Armed Forces. In 1983, Mr. Kaulbach was elected Vice President of the Ottawa Branch Royal Canadian Regiment Association and remained in this role for 3 years. He then took on the role of President of the Upper Canada Branch of the Black Watch of Canada Association until 1994, following which he remained on the Board of Directors of the National Executive. In 2010, Mr. Kaulbach joined the NATO Veterans Organizations of Canada and was appointed Director of Advocacy. In this position, he became an expert on the Veterans Independence Program and on long-term care issues. Having significant knowledge and passion for these issues, as a representative of the NATO Veterans Organization of Canada, Mr. Kaulbach has done numerous presentations on the Veterans Independence Program and other important issues facing veterans. He has presented to the Royal Canadian Legion Veterans Affairs Canada staff, Veterans Affairs stakeholders, and to the Standing Committee of Veterans Affairs on countless occasions. These activities reflect a significant amount of work on Mr. Kaulbach's part, and as Director of Advocacy, Mr. Kaulbach remains a highly valuable member of the NATO Veterans Organization of Canada. He continues to spend significant time researching the issues prevalent to veterans and is extremely dedicated to providing advice and recommendations for their support. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thurston Kaulbach. De Rockland, en Ontario, notre prochain récipiendaire est M. Marc Lapointe. Mr. Lapointe is a veteran of Canada's Special Operation Regiment. Following his service, Mr. Lapointe co-founded the Audamus Service Dog Program. Projects undertaken by Audamus are supported by ongoing research and evaluation. The approach is taken not only to continuously monitor outcomes, but also to contribute to the academic field of animal-assisted interventions. In this way, others may take advantage of our work and experience. A neurosequential brain mapping metric combined with qualitative methods provides continuous feedback on individual progress and program effectiveness. Our intention is to publish our results. Audamus is currently working on collaboration to assist the Heroes Companion Program, where we also pair high-quality trained service dogs with veterans of the Ukrainian Armed Forces and Ukrainian volunteer battalions who continue to struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder and other invisible and visible injuries inflicted by time spent in combat operations. The organization has expanded the scope of its well-known service dog program beyond its roots in Ontario. Veterans and their families from across the country who are interested in service dog treatment no longer have to travel to one location for training and certification. Trainers navigate the country to mentor veterans in each province. His services have helped many veterans access the life-saving program. He frequently invites veterans into his home during the service dog training period and checks in following the training period to make sure the veteran and the service dog are well matched. As the National Program Director and co-founder, Mr. Lapointe receives references from therapists and doctors associated with Veterans Affairs to treat veterans with operational stress injuries. Mr. Lapointe, through Audamus, is the leader in the effort to have Canadian standard and certification systems established for psychiatric service dogs, and he continues to work to ensure service dog treatment becomes a universal tool available to all veterans in need. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marc Lapointe. Our next recipient is Mr. Norman McLoughlin from Petawawa. Mr. McLoughlin is a veteran with 49 years and 6 months of service in the Canadian Armed Forces. He has been a member of the Royal Canadian Legion for over 30 years and is also a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force Association and the Canadian Guards Association. He has been involved in the coordination of commemorative activities such as Remembrance Day parades and ceremonies. In an effort to promote education and spark an interest in Canada's military history, he also provides equipment and learning materials to school and history classes. Mr. McLoughlin has been a cadet instructor for 15 years, and being a very accomplished piper himself, has also been the Ontario Regional Chief Cadet Piper Instructor for the last 10 years. He has been a piper and played at the Legion for more than 40 years on Remembrance Day parades and our fallen veterans' funerals. He has also helped prepare meals, soups, and sandwiches once a week in the Legion with his comrades. This initiative helps promote the local seniors and military personnel to join. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Norman McLoughlin. Our next recipient is Mr. Ian Moore. Mr. Moore has been a dedicated volunteer with several local organizations, including the Lions Club, the Knights of Columbus, the United Way, the Royal Canadian Legion, and the City of Kingston, and is a key organizer for multiple ceremonies at cemeteries in the area and with the City of Kingston's service at the Cross of Sacrifice. He has ensured that tents are available at no cost for the Legion and the municipality in order to provide a shelter for veterans in unfavorable weather, and works to ensure sound systems, transportation, and programs are available if needed. Along with his organizing role, Mr. Moore also works to ensure older veterans in the area are empowered to attend services. Mr. Moore has been a loyal supporter and volunteer member of the Princess of Wales' Own Regiment Association for approximately 10 years. In his efforts with the Regimental Association, he has supported and helped organize the city's Remembrance Day service and the Vimy Parade by assisting less mobile veterans. Mr. Moore was instrumental in the kickoff of a successful campaign to raise money for the restoration of Kingston's Cross of Sacrifice, a cenotaph that marks the contribution and sacrifice of Kingston's fallen men and women. Upon hearing of this project, Mr. Moore immediately motivated the Assembly of the Knights of Columbus to fundraise and prompted important media attention. He is also the caretaker of the Veterans Monument at St. Mary's Cemetery in Kingston. As a Knights of Columbus Project patriotic, he has beautified and held a ceremony prior to Remembrance Day to honor the 260 veterans buried at St. Mary's Cemetery, the original Catholic cemetery in Kingston. He has also worked on the Veterans Wall at Glenhaven Memorial Gardens to honor our veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Moore. Our next recipient is Mr. David Palmer from Ottawa. Mr. Palmer is a 20-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces. His longtime involvement with the Royal Canadian Legion has clearly demonstrated his care for veterans. He initiated and organized a special tribute to our Veterans Gala in 2001 to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Legion and the 40th anniversary of the Bell's Corner branch. This was a highly successful event. Mr. Palmer is also an active volunteer with the annual Poppy campaign. He has been on the campaign executive and helped to organize special events and fundraising routes. He is also one of the original members of the local Veterans Special Events Committee. In 2005, Mr. Palmer organized a Year of the Veteran Gala, which was attended by over 500 veterans. Mr. Palmer has been highly dedicated to ensuring that veterans were getting what they needed. Upon realizing that many aging veterans were having difficulty articulating their needs and submitting the appropriate paperwork, he took it upon himself to identify those who needed assistance, reviewed their cases in detail, and worked with them to ensure they received what they deserved. He has successfully secured both financial and VIP care for more than 24 veterans and continues to work with many others. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Palmer. Our next recipient today is Ms. Mitzi Ross from Ottawa. Ms. Ross is the daughter of a Hong Kong veteran, Lance Ross, and a founding member of the Hong Kong Veterans Commemorative Association. The HKVCA organizes and is involved in a number of commemorative activities and conventions. For these activities, Ms. Ross contacts the association's veterans and their families to see if they are able and available to attend ceremonies and keep track of any special requirements they may have. She takes on the responsibility of arranging all logistics such as transportation, accommodation, medical, nutritional, and security needs, and ensures veterans, their caregivers, and their families are comfortable and that their needs are met. Ms. Ross also completes the financial reports that are required by the association. Presently, Ms. Ross sits as the regional representative for the HKVCA. In this role, Ms. Ross ensures that corporate communication reaches all membership, that members are informed of the association's activities. In 2015, Ms. Ross was elected to the association's board of directors. As the director, she arranges the association's participation in Veterans Week's events to ensure the account of Hong Kong veterans and the sacrifices they made in the Second World War are known to Canadians. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Mitzi Ross. And our final recipient for today is Mr. Robert Thompson from Canada. Mr. Thompson is a veteran who retired after 32 years in Canadian Armed Forces. He joined the Royal Canadian Legion Canada branch upon his retirement and has been a member of the executive over the past several years. Upon joining the Legion, Mr. Thompson immediately volunteered to assist with the ongoing maintenance of the building, which included the setup and takedown of the facilities for ongoing and special events. His volunteer work has helped contribute to the Legion's financial viability and has allowed the branch to occasionally offer their facilities without cost to both veterans and military families. Since 2005, Mr. Thompson has been very involved with the Legion's Color Party, including serving as Sergeant-at-Arms since 2012. As Sergeant-at-Arms, Mr. Thompson participates in remembrance ceremonies throughout the year in the Ottawa area. These activities include community celebrations of remembrance, participations in the Ottawa Senators hockey games, visits to the Pearly Rideau Veterans Health Centre, and ceremonies at area retirement homes. In 2013, Mr. Thompson took responsibility for the Canada Legion's annual hosting of the Bingo Birthday Night and Pub Night at the Pearly Rideau Veterans Health Centre. In addition, Mr. Thompson has undertaken a program of refurbishing medals for veterans. Often the medal sets are incomplete and the veteran's entitlement has been lost. Mr. Thompson takes the time and sometimes shoulders the expense necessary to ensure the finished product is a true reflection of the veteran's service. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Thompson.